welcome to episode 8 of the Caffeinated Marketing Podcast. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2025. My name is Becky, and I'm your host. Today, I thought it would be fun to explore a little bit about teaching AI your voice and how to build a prompt library that gets your voice consistently every time. So the first thing that we really need to think about is, who are you? And how are you looking to convey information? Have you done the work to understand what makes you, what makes your content resonate as your own? That means a couple of things. It means understanding deeply the voice that you tend to use. A way to start with that from an AI perspective might be to feed Claude, ChatGPT, or Copilot, or Gemini a sample of some of your writings to say, tell me the voice that you hear in these writing samples. Are they warm? Are they empathetic? Are they matter of fact? Are they humorous? Are they informative and subject matter oriented? Are there witty components to your writing? How are you exercising your own personal writing style? And can you get a synopsis that says your writing tends to be warm, empathetic, practical, and sprinkled with humor, but not excessively so? And then you could say to Claude or ChatGPT or the AI of your choice, based on what you've learned about my writings, help me build a voice guide, a personal voice guide that ensures that the things that I ask you to write feel like they've been written by me and leverage my tone and style in the creation of the document. That's a first step. Second step would be, now how do you take your brand guidelines around voice and layer that on as well? So in some instances, you might be writing a blog where you are the subject matter expert and you want your personal voice and style to come through. You may want to have more of your brand voice if you're writing a white paper or a blog for a third party. If you regularly partner with a leader in sales or in product and you want to capture their voice, that would be another opportunity to either present them with sort of a pick list of words that resonate for them in terms of their voice and submit that into the AI. Or again, if you've got things that they've written or presentations that they've given that you have recorded, you can start to develop a module for your prompts that will have some key components around voice. Another consideration in creating that prompt for your library would be to ask for a prompt that allows you to dial up or dial down your personal voice versus your brand voice versus your subject matter expert's voice. So if I said, hey, my name is Becky, I'm a marketing consultant, I'm writing a blog for my client, here is their role, here is their company name, here are their brand guidelines. Please ensure that this leverages the brand voice at 20 to 30% and my client's personal voice that I'm giving you insight to here, 70%. And then I can add, some brand thinking that says if my client likes their blogs to be more conversational and less formal than perhaps a regulatory document or something of that nature, I could give it some additional inputs and start to build out those prompt refinements that allow me to say, because this is a white paper on a technical subject matter expert, please use a more formal tone than you normally would with the brand and make sure that my subject's expertise shines through in the text. And by continuing to refine that, what you're going to find is you go from an SFD, I'll say sucky first draft so that I don't have to mark the podcast explicit. You go from a sucky first draft that you might get out of AI to something that really starts to feel like it is your work, it resonates in your voice, and it feels like your brand. And I think that is a really important component. So the second thing to think about is your role and the audience. So thinking about that relationship and the communication between sender and receiver. So who are you? Why are you an expert? Again, as a marketer, you might be writing for someone else. Who are they? And why does the audience want to hear from them? And defining a prompt that allows you to say, I am a product manager in the cybersecurity space, and the audience I'm trying to reach is actually finance executives who are looking to manage the cost of ongoing security incidents. So I need the tone to be more matter of fact and quantitative than I normally would if I were speaking to a more technical audience. And that little bit of refinement, right, might really get you to a draft that requires less editing for you. The next thing I would think about is, are there things you want to avoid? One of my pet peeves with AI is an over-reliance on alliteration. I think I've talked about an exercise that I did in Copilot where I had my team go in and make their superhero profiles based on emails and Teams messages and who they meet with. And Copilot has a real tendency to dial into the marketing maven, the marketing maestro. And I just don't think I think that's a tell. And it's not a tell that I'm comfortable with. I'm not super worried about people looking at content I wrote and thinking, hey, did she use AI to create this? But that is a tell that would show you for sure that it wasn't my work, my voice, my way of communicating. The other thing that you might think about is, how important is it to you that you stay away from jargon? Are you talking to a highly technical audience that will feel marketed to if you take out the more complex terminology, or are you talking to an audience that really needs you to explain some of the context to them? So again, if you're looking to explain a highly technical solution to a financially motivated audience, you may need to avoid some of the jargon and buzzwords and technology terms and acronyms. So those are things that you could prompt around as well. The other pet peeve that I have are the words digital transformation. I think they are overused and lack meaning because everybody jumped on them, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago and somehow are still using them today. So I would include in my personal prompt library, please avoid the words digital transformation, along with avoiding jargon, along with avoiding alliteration. Because my brand is a little bit witty and caffeinated as a play on words, I have a tendency when I submit things into AI, it dials up the coffee jokes and the coffee references, which is fine in small doses, but when it's showing up in every paragraph, that's too much for me. And so I try to provide guidance in my starting prompt around how much of that is comfortable for me and how much of that I want in a particular piece. The other thing to consider is, does your voice change depending on the output? Are you more casual in a blog? Are you thinking about being more technical in a video script or a demo? Are there changes depending on the audience or the persona or the industry that you're talking about? So these are just some ways to think through how to create a prompt that can be customized and detailed in what you're expecting. I think this is one of the key things that, from a mindset perspective, gets you from good to great. It allows you to really think about building content that has utility and is time savings. Because I'm not sure that generating a blog or a video script with AI and then rewriting it wholesale is a particularly effective use of the tools that we have available to us. Sometimes starting from something is better than starting from nothing. But I think if we can break free of that kind of thinking and say, I have the ability, by just putting in a little bit of time, effort, elbow grease, to consistently create content that feels like it is part of my overall body of work, can be really powerful. So I'd love to hear what you're thinking. Jump over to the show notes at caffeinatedmarketing.com, and what you'll see over there is some of the work that I did with Claude to build out my own personal prompt library. I've got some things there that you can copy and paste and steal to start to feed in your body of work. Think about how you get to a set of descriptions of your tone, your voice, your brand, and the things that you want to change by output, uh, audience, persona, industry, all of those things. And hopefully it gives you a great jumping off point to do the work that you need to do yourself. Cheers, friends. Let's get caffeinated.